Welcome back, guys. I know that you've been waiting for this specific class. I've been waiting too, and I'm so excited to have everyone here watching this amazing skin transformation class. When I first showed the picture of this beautiful model before and after, everyone on Instagram, Facebook, everyone just went nuts because you guys got to see exactly how everything can be corrected. Now, granted, this model is already beautiful without the makeup. But in certain situations, we like to cover up certain marks, any discoloration, any redness, and the whole transformation ends up being so unreal. And I just wanted to give you guys a chance to see this in person, and my lovely model was so gracious enough to allow you guys to learn from her, with me showing you step by step how we go from the bare face into a very, very glamorous face. So I'm really excited to show you these tricks. Before we get started, I wanted to also thank you guys for the support and the love that you've shown both of us from those posts. I know that Instagram can be a little cruel at times with rude comments, and it's kind of a little bullying situation going on Instagram, but I was very pleased to see that most of the comments, there were some kind of little bit of rude comments, but most of the comments on those posts of the before and after that I'm talking about were so welcoming and so sweet. You guys really got to see her natural beauty and then the whole glamorous look as well. And I do agree that she looks beautiful both ways, but this is kind of a fun class for you guys to learn. So what we're going to go over is basically all about skin. I know you guys have been asking for so long, and I've been teaching you about skin throughout the course of the last several months being in front of you guys, but there has always been that question of, well, what if you're working on someone that has discoloration, or what if you're working with dark circles, or what if you're working with this? And so far my models didn't really have too many differences in their skin, usually like one color or maybe two colors. So this would be perfect for us to show this model here in front of all of you to know how to correct them. So we're going to go over, of course, priming, foundation, how I cover up any areas that need extra concealing. We're going to talk about color corrective theory. We're also going to go over contouring. Yes, I know you guys love contouring, so we're going to go over contouring as well. It's going to be a little bit different from the other contouring classes that you've seen from me because this is more towards the corrective contouring. The other thing is, I know that you guys have a lot of clients, or maybe you are one of them, that we like to tan our bodies, right? But we don't necessarily like to tan our face because that is going to basically speed up the aging process if you keep tanning your face in the sun or with heat lamps or whatever. So most people tend to tan their bodies, not tanning their face. So I'm also going to show you how I get a light-skinned face to match the body color by going much darker. So we're going to do all of that today with our model. And you guys are going to learn a lot about setting as well. So we're going over a lot of cream products and then a lot of powder products to set everything and make sure it all looks like Barbie at the end. We're literally going to turn our model into full-on Barbie. So I'm really excited to show you. Now I want to tell you a little bit of something about the model. So we actually recently met maybe a few weeks back. And I've already known of her page. I'm sure you've seen on Instagram because I keep tagging her. It's Dressed by Beverly Chic. She is the designer behind that brand, and she has her store in Beverly Hills, and also you can find her stuff online. She basically creates beautiful costume jewelry, and I'm actually wearing one of her pieces right now. This is so gorgeous. It's a rose gold with stones embedded right inside. So I'm rocking it, and she's going to be rocking some of her pieces as well, so we can talk about that. And so yeah, I would encourage you to check out her page, show her some love, and thank her for being a part of our show so that you guys can learn better. And without further ado, here she is, Miss Nicole.
Hi.
And I'm going to have her sit down.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. This is such a big deal because a lot of women just don't have the confidence that you have. And, I really applaud you for that. And I feel like a lot of my viewers out there have also really understood the level of confidence that she has is unreal. And she rocks it, and it makes her beautiful on the inside and on the outside.
So you are.
So we are going to show you the transformation. I'm going to go over the beginning steps. So right now she only has on her eye makeup. That's like a whole other class. I'll do that in another date because it's just going to take way too long. But she has her eye makeup on. We have her eyebrows on. Now we just have to kind of complete the face. So I'm going to show you step by step. But normally, for those of you who have been my members for a while, you guys know that I like to do face first and then eyes. But just for the purpose of this class, I wanted to get the eyes over with so that you guys can see the finished product once we're done with skin, okay? So just understand that I still do face first and then eyes, but if you guys prefer to do eyes first, that's totally fine too. Okay, let's get started. So we are going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see the way I'm doing things, and I'm going to tell you the brushes and all that good stuff too. I'm going to lower you a little bit. Sorry. Is that good? I think that's good, right? In the meantime, if you guys have any questions on my latest post on Instagram, this is the flyer that... Oh, hello. This is a flyer that I posted on Instagram. So that was just posted about an hour ago. So go ahead and go under that flyer and ask me whatever questions you have. And then after I'm done with the demonstrations, I'm going to go in and answer some of those questions. So let's go ahead and start. Well, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to ask you, what type of skin do you have? Is it dry or is it oily? Or is it's oily? Okay, so we're going to use an oil-free base on her. This is actually a new product that I got in a goodie bag. And I got to try it, and I really like it. This is a makeup primer spray. I'm not into sprays, but this is a priming spray. It's not a finishing spray, so I would use this totally. And it's from Skindinavia, and it's oil-free. So we're going to, I'm not going to spray her face because I've already done her eye makeup. What I'm going to do instead is spray the palm of my hand and dip in and actually spread it onto her skin. You can also use a cotton ball for this. However, cotton balls tend to absorb way too much product and you end up wasting a lot. So I love to use my fingers, and that way I can get a nice feel of her skin. I can make sure that the product is nicely being spread everywhere, and we're smoothing that on. So all of this is now all over. Everything's good. And now we're going to go in with a texture correcting primer. What I mean by texture is unevenness of the skin surface. So like pores, for example, we all have these little bumps up here, little holes. So this is actually called the Professional. It's from Benefit. I'm going to use this now as well to just smooth out the skin, smooth out any pores, smooth out any rough skin texture, and then we can do the foundation over it. So I'm just going to use this to really kind of smooth the skin first. I don't necessarily put a lot on. I only really concentrated on the areas that I need the most smoothness from. So I'm concentrating on the nose and the cheeks and any other areas that need a little bit more smoothing. Okay, we got around the nose. And again, I love to use my fingers because then I can feel that it's actually slipping on all over where I need it. And this product has a very smooth texture to it, which is why it's able to give the skin that smooth texture that a lot of other products cannot offer. Smoothing, smoothing. So far, so good. Just want to make sure everything is perfect. So I'm just going to kind of glide my hands all over her skin just to make sure I didn't skip any areas. And now we're done with the priming step. So now going on to foundation. Now we have a couple, I'm just going to dip down so you can see me. We have a couple different colors going on. I'm the same way. I don't really tan my face. My face is very pale. So I use a darker foundation, darker everything to get myself to match my neck color. And that's exactly what we're going to do with her. She has nice, clean, complected skin, very light and bright, not tanned and not spotted or anything. Just she has a birthmark, which is a little bit reddish, which is very easy to cover. So we're going to take care of that. But before we do that, we're going to start matching her skin to that beautiful tan color on her body. So we're going to get her all bronzed up. And we're also at the same time, that foundation is going to be covering a lot of the redness that you see from her birthmarks. So there's a lot of different foundations that you could use. I really love MAC. I really love Cinema Secrets and stuff like that. But for this class, I'm going to stick with Cinema Secrets. I have these amazing palettes here that I used from Cinema Secrets. And I'm just going to choose a palette that has enough light colors and dark colors that would match her the best. So I would say we're going to go with kit number 3 and kit number 8. I'm going to try 3 and 8 for her. And first things first, we're going to use a foundation color that is a little darker. So I'm probably going to use more of kit number 8 because she has this nice bronzy tan, but she also has a little bit of a rosy tone to it. It's not like a yellow tan. It's more of a rosy tan. So I'm going to use this more than this, but I'm going to use these colors mainly for her highlight. I'm sorry for the glare. I hope you guys can see this a little better. If I go closer. These two. And I'm going to go in with one of the lighter tones first. And this brush is Morphe M427. It's M427 from Morphe brushes. I'm going to go in and I'm going to start to just apply this as a foundation. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing product and I'm stamping it all over the skin. So this is only going to act as my foundation for now before we get into the whole concealing process. Now, because these foundations from Cinema Secrets are full coverage, you can absolutely use them as a concealer as well. And the way I'm doing this is I'm really packing it on. As you can see, I'm doing a lot of pushing motion. And what that's going to do for her is it's going to allow that product to really settle in nicely so that it lasts longer and you're getting a fuller coverage out of it without wiping it off. Just going to be careful around her lipstick because we already did her lipstick. I'm going to get on the nose. So as I'm moving from area to area, I'm just kind of making sure that the areas that I've just finished are perfected before I'm moving on. And we're just stamping away. So already you can see that that definitely concealed everything. It's looking very flawless already, but again, it's just one color right now. We still have to add more dimension to it. Because the birthmarks that we're working with right here are more of a reddish pinkish tone, it's very easy to cover with a bronze makeup. But if she would have had like brown spots, like freckles or moles or anything else that some people may want to cover, which I wouldn't say you have to cover freckles, but some people don't like it. And so in that case, you just have to match them to a much deeper color so it could cover up those darker areas. Because if you used a light color foundation on those dark areas, it would turn very gray and ashy. So you have to make sure that the color that you're working with has enough apricot tones and enough orange tones so it doesn't look really ashy when you put it on someone that has darker pigmentation. Also, same with dark circles. If you're working with someone with dark circles, you want to use a more orangey-based product so that you can knock out those dark circles, and then you can use your regular beige colors for setting powders. Oh, I'm already loving it. She already looks like Barbie. There we go. Class is over. Okay. So we're just kind of going around, making sure everything's looking nice. And I'm going to do the same on the neck area. I am going to mix a little bit darker tones here. And we're just going to make sure this is all covered. Just to even it out here. Looking good. So now that the base is on, we're going to go in with a highlight and brighten up underneath here for concealing the under eye. We're also going to brighten up the T-zone just to give it a much brighter look, more of that glowing look. And then we're going to go in with a really dark contour. And that's what's going to give that bronze look overall. So we already matched her to a shade that's a couple of shades darker than her skin, but we got to ease into it. We can't just slather on a brown foundation all over her. She's going to look very one-dimensional. So we still need some areas of light and dark to get her to look very three-dimensional and very real. So, but still looking like plastic. I love the glam look. Like, I'm all about, like, the Barbie doll look. And maybe not everyone is into that, so you have to kind of cater to your client's needs. If they're not trying to go too heavy, then of course you should have other products in your kit that can allow you to sheer out the product. This particularly is like a stage makeup. It's very thick. So if you want to use it more sheer, then you can mix it with a lotion, like a face lotion, and get a more natural coverage out of that. So now I'm going to go in with a smaller brush, and we're going to try kit number 3. This is kit number 3. And I'm going to dig into a little bit of a lighter color, the second one here. This brush is number M436 from Morphe. M436. And we're going to go in and just brighten up under her eyes. A little stamping motion. And then with a smaller brush, we're going to blend it a little bit. And smooth it out, smooth it out. With more packing, you get, of course, like I said earlier, the more you pack, the more coverage you're getting without wiping it off. So you don't, no circle movements, no buffing. It's really just packing it on. And now a little bit on the forehead, some brightness here right in the center. I know earlier when you guys have seen my contour videos, it's all stripes and then blending, but this is a different way of doing the same kind of contour, but blending as you're going instead of striping up the whole face. The reason why I wanted to show you striping up the whole face is so that you can see the areas of dark and light together and know the map better. But in this case, we're doing a corrective type of look, and so I like to see everything blended as I'm going so I can make sure I'm on the right track. So what we did first is we did the foundation blending all over. Now we're actually blending the highlight portion while we're applying it. Blending that in, making sure everything's looking good. And we could always use another brush to kind of clean it up. So this is a clean brush. I did not dip it into anything. And I'm using that to just kind of flatten up the product and make sure that everything's looking very seamless. Right up in here. Okay, and I do like to brighten up right in here around the nostril area and the lip area. I like to brighten that up. It kind of poofs it out a little bit better. And then lastly, we're going to use a smaller brush to really brighten up her T-zone. So this is MAC 287, and I'm going to use this with that same highlight color to just brighten up the bridge of the nose. And you can use your fingers to tap it, smooth it on, or you can use a beauty blender or just a cleaner brush. Okay, so now we're done with the highlight areas. Now we're going to go into the contour. For the contour, we're going to go in with, I'm going to go back to my other palette real quick. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to mix these. So I'm going to use the darkest one of the foundation kit number 3 from Cinema Secrets. I'm going to go in with this darkest color right here. And taking it in, and I like to use the lid as my dispenser. And now, as we're applying, we're going to be blending. So remember my trick where you are supposed to contour from the top of the ear towards the corner of the mouth? That's still the angle that I'm using, but I'm actually blending it while I'm applying it. So all of it can look really smooth and ready to set as soon as I'm done with that contour. I'm also going to darken up this entire jawline with whatever's left on my brush, just so that it can match the neck better. Because this is the lowest part of the face, and we want it to match the neck because it is technically connected. We don't want to go too white on the jawline. So again, I'm just going in with this super dark color here, using the lid as my dispense, and then turn a little bit this. Yeah, perfect. And now I'm just going to go ahead and apply the line right over here and start blending. And then you can absolutely use your fingers to smooth it out if you need to. Now, whatever's left on my brush, I'm just overlapping it with the jawline. And then go ahead and look straight into the camera again. And we're covering up the chin as well on this side so it can match the neck a little bit better. And not to forget the forehead. We're not going to contour too much on the forehead because she doesn't have a very big forehead, so there's really no correcting here. All we're doing is contouring the sides of the forehead so that we have that kind of round shape instead of a flatter shape. When you put only one color of foundation, it ends up looking flat. If you use a couple of different colors and you're contouring, then you get that beautiful 3D effect. So now we are starting to see that 3D effect happen. And if we want to go a little bit darker in here, darker on the lower half of the face, we can absolutely do that. It's really about the visuals. That's the whole thing about corrective makeup, is it's very, very visual. There's not one rule for everything. Right now I'm just looking at her and I'm like, okay, I'd like to go a little darker. So once I put on the powder, then I can go a little bit darker on her too. Right now I'm just kind of patting it in, making sure everything is nice and smooth for her and looking amazing. I'm doing that as well as going back into my concealer brush that I used on her with a little bit of a darker color. And we're going to shade the sides of her nose. That's for the nose contouring. And I'm going to remind you again that in my old contouring videos and my previous classes, I did stripes, a lot of striping patterns, so that you guys can get used to the placement. Now that you guys have seen it, you guys are kind of getting used to it, I wanted to show you the blended version where you're blending as you're going because of the corrective way that we're doing it right now. But whatever way you choose to do it in the real world, it's completely up to you. There are some times where I'm just going crazy with stripes still, and then there's other times where I'm just trying to blend as I go along. So that's really a preference kind of a thing. There's no one right answer to getting to the result that you want. Okay? So now she is contoured. Now we have to set the contour with some amazing products. So I'm going to whip out some of my favorite powder colors from MAC. These are Studio Fix foundation powders in one, so it is super full coverage, and that is the reason why I get such a flawless effect in my photographs. So I'm going to go in with, I would say, NC40. That is going to be the main color that we're going to be using for her highlight areas. Then I'm going to pick another couple of shades for her darker areas. So this is NC40, and I'm going to go in with the Morphe brush number M407. This is M407 from Morphe. And go ahead and look up to the ceiling. I'm first going to set all the highlight areas with this. So no more shine. It's going to be matte. Everything's going to be very, very clean. So I'm going right under, making sure that the under eyes and everything is set very nicely. For her, because her body is nice and tan, we're going to tan her face, so that's why I chose NC40 as her highlight color, and then I'm going to be choosing darker colors for the rest of her face. But we just want to make sure that the center of her face is glowing really nicely. We're going to brighten this up here, make sure that's nicely set. So everywhere that you did highlight, you want to just go ahead and softly set it with the powder that you're choosing for that highlight color. Now, I know a lot of you are going to ask, okay, how do you choose your colors? I really base it on what color naturally do I want her whole face to look, and then I'll choose 1 or 2 shades lighter for her highlight areas and 1 or 2 shades darker for her contour areas. It helps to know what your color is in the line. So let's say if you want to use Studio Fix foundation powder, it's helpful to know what color you would be. So basically that way, whenever a client comes to you, you could basically, I guess, compare her to yourself. So let's say if I have a client that's a little bit lighter than me and I'm an NC40, then I'll know, okay, you must be NC30 or NC25. So I kind of make sure that I know what my color is in every single line, so that if I have someone that's wondering like what color they would be and I can help them with that, I'll know based on what I am if you're going to be lighter or darker. It's kind of like a measure. So as long as you know where you measure up, then it's easier to find out and to guess what you would do on others. But of course, it all comes with practice and experience. Now I can just look at a person and just know what color they would be. So now that the highlight has been set on the face, all the highlight areas are done, we're going to go into the contour areas. The color that I'm going to use for her contour areas is, I would say, maybe NC45. Yeah, I'm going to use NC45. You can barely see this. NC45. And we're going to go in with my Hakuhodo brush. This is a Hakuhodo brush. There's no number on it. It's just, it doesn't say anything except for Hakuhodo. and I rubbed that off too. But you can find this by searching Hakuhodo online. And I'm going to use this color to really softly chisel out her cheekbones. Morphe brushes also makes a brush just like this. I saved that for the next step. But they make brushes just like this, the whole tapered thing, and for a fraction of the price.
What brand is that?
This particular one is Hakuhodo, which is super expensive. It's luxurious. It feels very soft. But the Morphe ones are much more affordable. And they're shaped the same. Just the hair is a little bit different, but I'm more into the shape. So what I'm doing here is I'm just setting all the areas that we did the contour with. Setting, setting, setting. Very lightly we're going to set the side of the nose. Everything's looking very nice. And now with whatever is left on my brush, I may darken up some of the other areas to overlap them. So for her particular case, because I do want her to go a lot darker, is, you know how in my other contour classes I was saying choose 3 colors of powder, one for her light zones, one for her dark zones, and one for the in-between zones? I'm just going to keep using for the rest of the face NC45, which is what we used as her contour color. And I'm going to use that to kind of bring more color to the rest of her face. Even though I already set the rest of her face with the highlight shade, I want to add a layer of this darker one to warm it up and look more bronze. So I'm going to go back to this, and now I'm going to start kind of overlapping with my previous tones. So over here on the jawline and on the chin, we haven't really added any powder. So over here, I want to add very light amount of this contour shade. And I do want to darken up the edges of the light areas. So I want to keep the under eye pretty light, but right now I'm just warming up the transition area. So here's dark, here's light. So right in between the dark and light, instead of using a medium color, because I really want her to go darker, I'm just using the darker color, but just not as heavily. So not too much product. We're just kind of, all we're really doing is doing a transition so that it can just kind of blend up into the rest of her face. Especially that highlight, makes the highlight pop a little bit more. And now I'm just kind of, nothing's really left on the brush, very little is left on the brush, so I'm just using whatever's left on the brush to kind of go over all the other areas of highlight so that she can basically look a little bit more bronzy. And I'm also going to add this right under here and right under here just to bring the color to her neck. So far so good, okay? So now that we've set her skin, we can really go nuts with the Anastasia contour kit. And I have a few colors here that we'll use. This is my Anastasia contour kit here. And I'm going to go in with Havana. Havana is a nice dark shade. Obviously, you see I use it all the time. I'm already hitting pan. And I'm really going to chisel the cheekbones with this. This is if someone wants that glam look. So right now, I'm just kind of going really dark on these areas. Sorry, hon. I'm going really glam here and really glam on the sides of the forehead as well. And then whatever's left on the brush, you can just kind of color in wherever else. So she's looking more bronzy, more tan. And if I want to go back to that original brush that had the highlight color in it, I can just go in and reset some of the highlighted areas in case I've gone too far. You can just go back. And that's usually why I don't like to wipe off my brush as soon as I'm done, because I may want to go back and use whatever's left on the brush to reposition her coloring. Okay. So now we have this amazing, amazing skin. Everything is corrected. We have a nice contour going on. And everything's looking very smooth. So what we're going to do next is we're going to add a little bit of shimmer in certain areas. I like to keep most of it matte, but we do want to add a little hint of a highlight on the top of her cheekbones. And we also want to use a color in more of a bronzy tone for that, so it's not too white shimmery. Then we're going to go ahead and add some blush and make some finishing touches. So again, color corrective makeovers is really all about vision. So if you can see anything that's off balance, then go ahead and correct that. And I'm very visual with these kind of things because it's really about how you are placing it and how you're blending it and how everything looks as you're doing it. So that's why, again, I didn't do the stripes. I just kind of blended it as I went on. So at this point, oh, you know what? I wanted to show you how the banana would look. If you really want to brighten up certain areas, the banana color, this really light color, you can use like a big brush like this. This is the MAC 189 brush. And I can go in with the banana. And you could really brighten up the under eye areas by just patting it in. So that's another fun trick. She didn't have to do this, but I just wanted to show you how it looks. So it's definitely a nice way to bring in a little bit more light onto the skin if you need to. Just gonna blend a little bit here. Alrighty. And another thing you could do is if you ever want to like sharpen up the baseline, you can go in with like a medium shade. This one is called Golden Peach. And we can go in and really chisel the baseline of her contour. Like that. And then it ends up looking a lot sharper. Looking good. Alright, now we're ready for blush and shimmer. So for the shimmer, I like to use bronze from Girlactic these days. I've kind of been obsessed, as you may have seen on my Instagram. And let me just get a nice little brush for you. Okay. So we're going to go in with this Face Glow in bronze from Girlactic. I'm just going to use a little fluffy brush. This is another Hakuhodo brush. This one actually has a number. It is J5521. J5521 from Hakuhodo. And we're going to use this to just kind of create a little bit of a glow on the top of her cheekbones. So just right on the top. And use your fingers to smooth it into the skin so it doesn't look like it's just hanging out on the surface. And that creates a really nice glow. I'm just putting it on the bridge of her nose as well. And a little bit on the center of the forehead just to give a nice glow there. And a little bit on the chin. So now we have a little bit more of that glow going on. And it's starting to look very healthy, very much like skin rather than too much powder. Now for the blush. I have a set of blushes that I really love. And then I also have the Kevyn Aucoin blush. This one is called Soft Pink. I really love this. This is like so Barbie to me. Can you guys even see this color? It's like blasting out. Anyway, oh, it's just a beautiful pink color. Show them your nails. It's all pink. Like so our theme today is Barbie. Total Barbie. So pink lips, pink cheeks, pink nails. And we're just gonna lightly fluff it right on the apple all the way up to where the contour ends. And this is just this bright Chador pink color. And I'm using the angled blush brush from MAC. I love this because it really brings youth into the skin. That beautiful bright baby pink shade brings so much smoothness and youth onto the skin. It's unreal. And this is like this whole thing that you guys are learning today, by the way, this is what I call real life Photoshop. This is really perfect makeup techniques that can transform someone so quickly in a matter of minutes. And it didn't even take that long. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fix up her eyebrows a little bit since I've been going kind of nuts all over the place. I just want to fix those up a little bit more and then we'll get a full view of how everything looks. So I'm going to go into my brow palette here and give her a little bit more color. Just making sure the arch is nice and clean. Okay. Ooh, wow. Looking nice. Let's fix up your lipstick a little bit too. I've custom created a lip color for her. The liner is More to Love from MAC. It's just a bright pink. But the actual lip shades, I use about 3 or 4 different lipsticks from my palette. So it's all custom. Okay. Ooh. Very nice. Very, very nice. So that basically concludes the skin correcting phase. So just to backtrack so that we know what we just did and remember what we just did in case some of you are starting off a little late here. First thing we did was we primed her skin. I used Skin to Nivea spray primer, but I didn't spray it on her because we already have her eye makeup on. But if her eye makeup wasn't on, I would have just sprayed it. Instead, I sprayed it in my hands and I just rubbed it all over the face. And then, or you could use a cotton ball, whatever. Then what I did was I used the Professional from Benefits. That I just kind of spread everywhere on her face to smooth out the texture. After that, we went right into foundation. I used the Cinema Secrets foundation kits, and I matched her to a color darker than her natural face tone because she has a beautiful bronze going on her body. So we wanted to make sure that it's all balanced. So we matched her a lot darker. And then we went on to highlighting and contouring. So with the highlighting, I actually started to blend it as I applied it with just a couple shades lighter of the same Cinema Secrets kits. And then the darkest color of those kits, I applied right in here and along the edges. So that's kind of with the highlight and the contour. And then I definitely used a little bit more of the contour color to then finish up the rest of her face as well. So we can go darker with that. And then after that, we went in and we started setting everything with the correct powder color. So in the lighter areas, we use a lighter powder. In the darker areas, we use a darker powder. Usually I choose a medium color powder for all the rest of the areas. But in this case, we stuck with the darker color because I really wanted to bronze her skin to match the neck. So we used that powder to then set everything else and to also blend the overall look of the face. After all the powders were on her and everything was well blended, then we went into the Anastasia contour kit and really went in and added a lot more contouring around her cheeks and around her forehead and kind of dusted it everywhere. And we used Banana right under the eyes and a little bit down the nose. Then we went in and started to add a little bit of a shimmer on the cheekbones. So we added shimmer here and here and a little bit down the bridge of the nose as well. And whatever was left on our brush, we kind of dusted a little bit on the chin. So we did have a little bit of a glow going on. After that, we added blush. So this beautiful light pink blush just to go with her lips, and it also, of course, goes with her hand, her nails, and everything just starts to look very balanced. So that's basically the whole look. I'm going to go ahead and start answering some questions in a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that you guys would understand the whole concept of corrective contouring, corrective concealing, corrective foundation, usually adding a darker color than her natural to hide everything and to make everything look super smooth. So what I'm going to have you do is just kind of look a little bit side to side so they can take beautiful glances at your contouring and your skin. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous.
Thank you.
You look amazing.
Thanks so much.
And briefly, I'm sure you guys are wondering what I have on her eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about her eyes real quick, and then we're going to switch spaces. I'm going to sit down and answer some more questions. So what we did on her eyebrows is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow in dark brown. And then after that, I used the powder to kind of fill in because I've been rubbing it a lot. Once that was on, I did her eyes. So I started her eyeshadow base with the Soft Ochre from MAC. And then after that, I used, let me show you actually. I might as well show you. Maybe you can zoom out a little bit. So I can show you these colors here. So under her brow bone and across her whole lid, go ahead and close your eyes. So right in here and right on her lid space, I used Undressed from the Lorac Gold Unzipped palette. This is the Unzipped Gold palette from Lorac. And I used Undressed on her lid and on her brow bone. And then I went in with a mixture of Bengal and chocolate from my Tamana palette with Anastasia Beverly Hills. Chocolate and Bengal I mixed in her crease. And that's all I used on her eyeshadows, just 2 colors. And then for her eyeliner, I used Girlactic liquid liner on the top and a little bit on the bottom as well. And I set it with Noir eyeshadow from my palette and chocolate. And then I also added false lashes on her. I believe these are Iconics from House of Lashes. She brought them. And for the mascara, it's always Lancome Hypnos Waterproof Drama. It is like my favorite mascara ever, and I cannot go away from that. So, and then on her waterline, we did nude eye pencil, Rue Bonaparte from NARS. The NARS nude eye pencil is what we used on the waterline. And that's pretty much it. It was actually a very easy eye. This is something that I can definitely show you in another class so you guys can know this in detail. And yeah, that's it. So, I hope you guys got a good look. I hope you guys understood what I was doing. I know that there was a lot of information kind of crammed in one class, but I hope you're able to follow along. We are going to upload this on the members website very soon so that you guys can look again and again and again until you just nail it. And I love seeing your posts. I expect you to hashtag Dress Your Face Live on all of your makeup posts that you've used our techniques so that I can make sure that you guys are learning properly. And if you guys have any requests on future videos, please comment below on my latest post so that we know what to kind of teach you next. So I have a lot of more surprises for you, which I'll talk about in just a minute. So you and I are going to switch places. You want to hang out here?
Thank you.
And I will sit down and start answering some questions. Okay. Oh, okay. Alrighty. So I'm gonna answer a few questions from that post. And if you guys are just now kind of joining in, you're right in time for the Q&A. So here we go. On this last post right here, I'm answering some of the most popular questions from right under it. So, oh my God, we have about 300 questions. So I'm hoping I can get through at least some of them. We have about 20 minutes to talk. So I would say, let's do this. How do you remove Inglot gel liner? Which remover do you recommend as it's very hard to get off? Oh my God, I have the same problem. Inglot gel liner I love. It's my favorite black gel liner because it goes on so amazingly dark. Like I've not found another black gel eyeliner that can go on as dark as the Inglot does. So, but the problem is removing it because it dries so strong that the removal process is just ridiculous. What I've noticed is the MAC sheets, the wipes, the MAC wipes, those actually, if you just wrap it around your finger and just start rubbing back and forth with the right wipe, that usually helps. Also, Bifacil Eye Makeup Remover from Lancome. So, Bifacil's Eye Makeup Remover, let me see if I have it here for you. It might be in my kit. I want to show you, okay, nope, it's somewhere else. Okay, anyway, Bifacil Eye Makeup Remover is like a light blue solution. And it has oil in it. So half of it is oil and half of it is a makeup removing solution. And you just shake it up and apply it with a cotton ball or Q-tip or whatever, and you start rubbing off the hard to remove makeup. And it's amazing. It eats through anything. Like that product will remove anything. But unfortunately, I can't use it on myself anymore, only because I do lash extensions. As you can see, they're very long and pretty. So I do lash extensions, and my specialist, her name is Sydney Lee. I always tag her in my lash posts and stuff. But anyway, she informed me that with lash extensions, you can't really use oily eye makeup removers because it will shorten the time that your lashes are on. A lot of the lashes will actually come off because the glue starts to be eaten away by oil. So you don't want to use oily eye makeup removers if you have a client that has extensions on. But any other situation, go ahead and use Bifacil. For the oil-free version, it's called Epicil, also from Lancome. It's the dark blue bottle instead of the light blue. So someone's asking, do these color correcting tips apply for red and acne and zits? Yes, absolutely. The same exact method that I did on my client right now, I would do on anyone that has anything major to conceal. Her spots are actually a birthmark. They're red. They had a little texture in them. So I used like a darker, more bronzy color to correct that. Now, if you're just correcting one zit, for example, and you don't want to really correct the whole face, you just want to correct one area, then use a yellowish color concealer just to dot on a red spot, like a zit or something. Or acne marks, as far as like people my skin color, like we're the brown girls, and when we get acne, it scars. It scars to like a brownish color. I have acne scars from the past on my chin, and I think maybe a couple on my forehead. But the only way to really correct that is to use a more orange-based concealer. So, or a full coverage foundation. I mean, a lot of full coverage foundations cover everything, which is kind of what you saw with the Cinema Secrets foundation. It covered everything without us having to spot conceal. So that's the main difference there. But if you're using like regular foundation, just a sheer foundation all over, or not even wearing foundation, and you just want to conceal a couple of zits, use a yellow corrector. If you want to conceal the scarring that I'm talking about, like on us brown girls, when we scar, it turns brown, it's not red. For correcting brown, you want to use orangey tones so that nothing looks ashy. What happens is if you use a light color concealer over a dark area, it turns gray. So you never want to match, you never want to cover a dark area of the face with a light color. You want to, if you're going to go lighter, you have to go light orange so that you really get a corrected look and it's not going to turn ashy, because the orange is what prevents the look from looking ashy. When I say ashy, I mean gray. A lot of times people have darkness on their skin and they want to cover it with a light color concealer thinking that the light is going to remove the dark. That is not how it works. You have to use a color that's very rich in tone, very warm to correct it so that it covers it up. So something strong. Light color is not strong enough. You have to go orange. I'm hoping this makes sense. But you have to go orange for it to correct dark areas, okay? Orange for dark, yellow for red. That's pretty much it. I know there's a lot of palettes out there that have green, they have blue, you know, those kind of weird colors. I almost never use green. Green is actually what's supposed to correct red. Green concealer, they have kits and stuff with like all these corrective things. But green concealer is really what's supposed to correct red, but I'm always afraid it's going to look too ashy, so I kind of stick with yellows and oranges and stuff like that. And usually with my full coverage products, like everything in my kit is full coverage. So usually with that by itself, I usually don't have to do any corrective concealing. And that is why, my friends, I always do foundation before I do concealer. Because if my foundation is strong enough to cover everything without having to use concealer, then yay. If you're using concealer first, you will have no idea what the foundation strength is for that particular client. So you might as well do foundation first. Whatever the foundation couldn't cover, then you can go in with your concealer and start spot correcting and then using a little bit of extra foundation just to set all that up. So that's kind of how I do that stuff. Next question. Someone's asking, I think I just kind of answered it. Someone's asking, how would you color correct large sunspots or dark pigmentation without the color corrector mixing with the foundation shade? Can you achieve the same results with Studio Fix Fluid and powder? You absolutely can. Studio Fix Fluid is a pretty full coverage. Studio Fix Powder is a pretty full coverage. You could definitely do a lot of correcting with those two products because they are full coverage. However, when you're correcting like big pigmentation, like dark pigmentation or sunspots and stuff like that, you definitely want to use a real orange color. So what I would do is do the whole foundation with Studio Fix, go with a little bit of orange and tap over the areas that couldn't be covered with Studio Fix if it still shows. And then when you're setting it with Studio Fix powders, those powders are obviously not going to be orange. Those powders are going to be more beige toned. So that's what's going to correct the orange then. So overall, you're going to look totally normal and balanced, as no one's going to know that you have orange on your face because you've now set everything with the Studio Fix powder. So you should be okay with that. I'm going to refresh and see some new questions here. Okay, someone's asking, what do you recommend for blurring large pores? And I do not mean using professional, as that is not effective on the skin. What is particular? Okay, so I use professional on large pore areas, and I feel like it's very effective. If a pore is very, very deep, or there's a lot of pot marks on the skin that's really, really rigid, in that case, you could use professional first. And then when you're stippling your foundation, do it in a stippling way like I did, not sliding. Stippling in the foundation is going to help fill in the pores as well so that you can get a smoother look. I have not tried any other type of primer that works as well as professional in my specific opinion. But if you're saying that it doesn't really work for you, then you might want to kind of go to Sephora and try different pore fillers and see which one you like the best. But I would say my personal favorite would be Benefit Professional as far as a pore filling. And then when it comes to foundation, you got to stipple it, push it into the skin so that it's filling up the pores even more and you're not just wiping it off. Oh, also with large pores, you don't want to use too much shimmer. Stick with mattes. Stick with matte powders and everything like that, and try not to use too much shimmer on the face as far as the shimmer powder because that's going to bring out the pore size again. So you want everything to look blurred, so stick with matte products. How do you feel about the RCMA palette for a starter palette since it's more of a wax cream base? I'm fine with RCMA. It's very similar to Cinema Secrets, very similar to Graftobian. I have all three. Right now in my kit, I have Cinema Secrets only because I love the colors that I've purchased and gotten. And then I used to use Graftobian like back in the day. I still have those palettes on hand just in case I need them. But yeah, they're all pretty much the same. Like Cinema Secrets, Graftobian, and RCMA are all cream-based full cake foundations. So you would be fine with either one of those ones. I found that rubbing coconut oil on my eye makeup before using any remover wipes will easily remove any eyeliner or waterproof mascara very quickly. Oh, awesome. So someone just gave a comment regarding the earlier question we had about, you know, really tough to remove makeup items. How do you remove it? Someone was saying that rubbing coconut oil on those areas helps to remove it as well before using a wipe, which is kind of what Bifacil would be. Bifacil has a lot of oil in it, and that's kind of the same scenario. But of course, if you have coconut oil laying around, you could definitely use that. All right, someone's asking about receding scars. How do you cover that in? So what that means is really deep scars that go into the face. How do you fill that up and make it look smoother? Unfortunately, when it's a major texture issue, there's no way to really cover it up unless you're using synthetics. So like, you know, the special effects makeup artists, how they use like silicone and they use latex and all that stuff to simulate the skin. That's really the only way to smooth the skin, is to get something that heavy duty and like literally mold it over your skin. Now, I don't recommend that for day to day because that's like a lot of work and it actually blocks your skin from breathing. Your skin cannot breathe through that stuff. So I don't really recommend that. I mean, I'm just trying to tell you because that's really the only thing that's going to smooth it out all the way. But there are certain ways to try to cover it up as much as possible. Like I said, using a full coverage foundation, full coverage powder, and making sure that the foundation and the powder are all matte, not shiny, not dewy, not frosty. So using entirely matte products to cover up your skin and to make it look as smooth as possible is what's going to be most effective. If you're going to use anything that has shimmer in it, it's going to show off the potholes a lot more and then it just ruins everything. So you want to make sure it's not too shimmery. Everything should look as matte as possible. And as far as like trying to smooth out any of the uneven skin textures, try to use a pore filling treatment, something like the Professional from Benefit. Could help as much as possible, but it's not gonna, like if it's really deep grooves, it's not gonna fully hide it unless you're using like latex or something. Pretty heavy duty. But again, there's ways to like fake it for the camera. Just use matte coverage and then like when you're taking pictures, it shouldn't show. What color do you use to correct with orange? So some of the orange favorites that I have, let me bring it over so you guys can see exactly what I'm working with. There's this concealer palette that I have from MAC. This is called Pro Conceal and Correct Palette Medium Deep. And that one has a really cool orange tone and a yellow tone. That's pretty much all I use. I don't really use the yellow too much because I find that when I'm doing foundation on someone, that already corrects most of the redness. And then if someone has really dark circles, then I'll go in with, this orange one. And I correct the darkness with that. And then I'll use one of the beige colors to go over that so it looks like skin color again. Or you can mix the two and create a corrective concealer yourself. So this item I absolutely love for correcting. Anastasia Beverly Hills just came out with her contour kits in the cream form. So she has the contour kit in the powder form. Now we have the cream form, and a lot of those also have corrective colors. So if you have dark circles or something that you really want to correct with orange, get a kit that has orange in it. So you can absolutely go nuts with all the correcting and the contouring and the highlighting and all that good stuff all in one. Oh, this is an interesting question. How do you get men ready for red carpet? I actually just had a guy client yesterday. I should have taken a picture. He was getting headshots done, and that's kind of the same type of makeup that I do on red carpet too. So usually for male grooming, you don't want to go too crazy with the makeup because they shouldn't look cake face. Like I have a lot of makeup on, and that's not at all what I do on guys, obviously. So what I normally do is I start with prepping their skin. I do that spray, the Skindinavia spray, all over their skin to control the oil and to make sure everything's looking hydrated as well. And then I can go in with the Professional only on areas where they have a lot of pores, usually like right up here or on the nose. So I go in with that, smooth that out. Now for the foundation itself, I do not use full coverage foundation on men. I mix a little bit of that foundation, like Studio Fix or Studio Sculpt. I mix it with a primer lotion, the MAC primer lotion, or with a moisturizer. I mix it all up together. I create kind of a tinted moisturizer, I guess, and I apply that all on the face with a little brush, and then I go over with my fingers to make sure everything is really smooth and nothing's looking cakey or choppy. I do use a full coverage concealer under their eyes. If they're very red or brown under here, I go in with the MAC 217 brush, which is a fluffy brush. It's not a flat brush, it's a fluffy one. And I go in and I start fluffing concealer right under their eyes so that it doesn't look like a blanket of concealer. It just kind of looks airbrushed. So I apply the concealer on, and then as far as powders, I do not press powder all over their face. I do a lot of dusting so it looks as natural as possible. I still use Studio Fix, but just not as much. I'm using it as a dusting method, not like a packing method. And then, of course, if you do have I don't carry translucent powder, but if you have a translucent powder that you like, that is a powder that you could actually dab, since there's no coverage in that. But for the powders that I have that have a lot of coverage, I just kind of brush it all over. You also have to make sure that your male clients are very bronzed. If you're using one color all over, they end up looking very flat on TV or on the red carpet or whatever event they're going to. They don't have a dimension. So I wouldn't say really contour them like crazy, but I am kind of saying that. I am saying that you need to use a bronzer with no shimmer in it to just darken up the outer parts of their cheeks, darken up the outer parts of their forehead, make it very three-dimensional. So the brighter, more flat areas are in the center, and you got this 3D thing going on here. Whatever's left on your brush, just apply a little bit on the sides of their nose so that they have a little bit of this contour glow. I would not add a highlight here or a highlight here on guys. I feel like that looks very artificial, not natural at all. So my thing is mainly bronzing the whole face and really concentrating it on the perimeters of their face to get that 3D effect. And then with their lips, I do a little bit of lip balm just so it doesn't look dry. And then what I also do for their eyelashes, if you're working with someone that has light colored hair, instead of using mascara on the eyelashes to make them show, I use the Anastasia brow gel. I have caramel and I also have brunette. So what I do is I just brush a little bit of this brow gel on the tips of their lashes if the tips of their lashes are blonde. That way it'll coat it without looking like mascara. And then I use my fingers to just wipe off the excess amount. So it doesn't even show on camera, but it just shows a little bit of definition. And then lastly, with their eyebrows, I like to brush them, trim them, and then if they need a trimming, and then I'll use a little bit of brow powder or brow gel to groom their eyebrows as well. But I usually don't go too crazy. So I would say if it takes me an hour to do a woman's makeup, it will take me about 20 minutes to do a guy's makeup. That's kind of the ratio there. I'm going to answer a few more questions before we say bye. Do any of your clients ever request airbrush makeup? And then someone else answered, she said she doesn't like it. Yeah, I don't like it. I have been asked many times. A lot of my clients kind of assume that I do airbrush, but it's funny because I've never talked about doing airbrush. I always say I'm using MAC Studio Fix or MAC this or MAC that. And I don't know where they're getting the idea that I do airbrush because I don't. But the reason why I don't like airbrush is because I'm very old school. I like to feel the makeup, I like to play with it, I like to sculpt it, and I like to make it individual for everyone. With an airbrush machine, I feel like it's too much upkeep. It's another thing that I have to deal with, and I'm losing my control over the product. With my hands and with my brushes, I can control every part of the face. With an airbrush, you're just kind of letting the machine put on the product, and then technically you're not really supposed to touch it afterward because then it's going to break up the smoothness and the texture of the product. So you're technically supposed to just airbrush and then set it with a little bit of loose powder and you're kind of done. But I do so many layers of stuff that it kind of contradicts the whole point of using an airbrush. The point of using an airbrush machine is to get that flawless look, and it's staying all day. Now, when we go in and start contouring and doing so many other things and moving around a product, you're breaking up that whole airbrushed shield on the face, and then you lose all the benefits. Another thing is if you airbrush and just leave it alone, it kind of looks dry on the skin. I've noticed it cracks and things like that. So I'm sorry, I just don't like airbrush. I like traditional makeup. I like to feel it. I like to blend it myself, and I like to control the look of it myself, not with a machine. Also, I don't have time to clean a machine, so no thank you. What do you, oh crap, I just refreshed it and I missed a question that I was about to answer. What do you do for a crooked nose? Okay, so let's say someone has a crooked nose that's going in one direction. Ignore the direction the nose is going and draw your lines of contour straight down. So if my nose was going like this, then I would draw the contour line straight down and ignore this part that's over there. You would shade that up so that it kind of looks like a shadow and just draw your straight line. So anytime your nose is, whether it's crooked or whether it's just wide or whatever, ignore what you're seeing in front of you and just draw two parallel straight lines towards the top of the nose and put a light line right in the center. So you're going to put a highlight line and then hug that highlight line with two darker lines. If you've seen my previous contour posts, you know what I'm talking about. And then when you're blending, don't overblend. Keep them pretty strong so that the nose suddenly looks a little bit more aligned with your contour rather than outside of your contour. You don't want to make it too obvious though, so definitely try it. See how much product you need to use. You could always blend it out. Someone's asking, on fair skin, what's the lightest color setting powder you recommend for highlighted areas? What's the lightest shade that you recommend? So the lightest shade that I recommend for very fair skin, it really depends on how fair you're talking about. There's such a wide range of powders, and I carry almost all of them from MAC. I go up from NC15 all the way down to NW58, which is like their darkest color that they carry, I believe. So most of my colors though are medium range. I have just a few of the lights and a few of the darks and more medium range because those are used more. But my lightest one, like I said, is NC15. I use that as a highlighted area for most of my fair skin clients. But once in a blue moon, I'll get a super, super white client that the NC15 ends up being the all over color, and I still need something lighter for just the brightening zones. So then I'll use the mineralized pressed powder in light because it has a little bit of a shine to it too, and that kind of adds a little bit more glow up in here, and then I'll use the Studio Fix everywhere else. And then slightly darker colors. So like if you're using those things for a really light girl, the contour cannot be too dark. So with a contour powder color, I would go with like NC40 or NC30 because that's really dark compared to an NC15, and you want to make sure it's well blended and not too crazy looking. So don't use too much browns on them. It's 7 o'clock. I'm going to answer one more question. Oh my gosh, a lot of you are asking about my makeup. I'll talk about that in just a second. But real quick, would you apply primer right after moisturizer so it doesn't dry out? I like when I'm putting, okay, so when it comes to moisturizer, I like to have my client do her regular moisturizing regimen before she comes in. So I tell her, go ahead and make sure that your eye cream is on, your moisturizer is on, so that it has some time to seep into the skin before she arrives. Now, once she arrives, or once I arrive, depending on if I'm going on location or not, once that happens, then I can go right into primer or whatever. But I always feel the skin, which is another reason why I ask you guys to use your fingers when you're priming her skin, so that you can feel if there's any dry patches, you can go in with a much more moisturizing primer to apply over the dry patches. There's a moisturizing primer that I use for dry skin, which is called Serum number 28 from Hourglass. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Number 28 Primer Serum Hourglass. This is what it looks like, and basically it's very oily, so I use that just on really dry areas. So when I use it on myself, I use it on my nose because my nose is so dry, and then everywhere else I just use Skin to Nivea or any other primer, or sometimes I don't even use primer. Usually I don't use primer, but when I try to look extra good and I try to make it last, then yeah, okay. So yeah, I would definitely, like if someone is super dry, then maybe you could use a little extra moisturizer and then prime it, or use a moisturizing primer like the Hourglass one. As far as like locking in the moisture, I don't like the moisturizer to stay too much on the surface of the skin. I want it to be soaked up by the skin so that the makeup doesn't slide around throughout the day. That's very important. So if you're talking about putting on moisturizer and then immediately putting on primer over it, I usually do like to wait a couple minutes. Usually during those couple of minutes, if I'm putting on the moisturizer for the client and then I have to wait to do the primer, I usually just keep massaging their skin until I feel that the moisturizer has seeped in, or talk to the client in the meantime, ask her what look she wants, talk about details, talk about colors, and then by the time you're done talking, you're ready to actually do the primer, foundation, contouring, all that stuff back to back. So hope that helped you. Okay, so now to talk about my face makeup. I have on Kevyn Aucoin foundation, and I also have applied the beautiful Bronze HD Pro Conceal from LA Girl Cosmetics around here and here. So that's my contour, and then I set it with Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit and Studio Fix powder. So what I did with the Studio Fix powder, first I used a lighter color like NC40 just around my highlight areas, and I did mix it with a little bit of an NC25 just to really brighten just in my highlight areas, and then my contour areas were set with NC45 plus the Anastasia Contour Kit Havana. Havana is what I would kind of really chiseled the outer parts with, if you can see. And then I used banana mixed with golden peach right under here and down my T-zone just to give a little bit more brightening. What else? I have my brows on using medium ash brow pencil. It's a Brow Wiz from Anastasia Beverly Hills. And on my eyes, I have on just a couple of colors actually from my Tamana palette. So I have on Fresh on the brow bone and on my lid, and I have a mixture of chocolate in my crease along with Noir right in the outer corner. And underneath my eyes, I have in also Noir and chocolate just to blend underneath my eyes and make them look a little bigger. My eyeliner is Girlactic Liquid Liner on the top, and then on the bottom is just LA Girl Cosmetics pencil. And my lashes are done by my lash specialist, Miss Sydney Lee, Sidneyle. You can find her on Instagram. She comes to LA about once every 4 weeks or so to do my lashes, and now she has a ton of clients here, even celebrities that want to see her, so I do highly recommend her. And on my lips, I have Girlactic. Let me find out the exact color because I put it away. Okay. So on my lips, I have on Girlactic Demure. This is a matte lip paint called Demure. I have it all over, and my lip liner is a mixture of 2 lip liners from MAC just so I can get the right balance. Let me find them. I use Bittersweet lip pencil from MAC, which is the dark brown, and then I softened it with Morning Coffee, and then I applied Demure liquid lipstick all over. This is from Girlactic. And so yeah, that's what's on my lips. I'm glad you like it. A lot of people are asking. I know it's a little different. I usually do the same old look for you guys every day, but I'm going to try to mix it up and talk more fun makeup with you guys. And that's pretty much it. So that kind of concludes our class. Thank you guys for watching. I just wanted to let you know that we have a lot of surprises in store for you. This is going to be a very exciting month coming up. So as we are approaching the end of February, this is the last class of this particular month, but in about a week and a half, I have a huge surprise for you guys. You guys are literally going to flip out, but I can't tell you yet. You have to stay tuned on my Instagram page to find out what exactly the surprise is, but it's a very special guest and a very special class, and we're going to do that next month, just in about a week and a half. And we have a lot more classes coming up. So if you see on the website, dressyourfacelive.com, you'll see the list of upcoming classes, but that surprise class isn't on there yet. It's a major surprise. So I'm going to reveal that when it's time. And certification courses are coming up really soon. Hopefully by the end of March, so in about a month, we can roll out the makeup certification classes, and then a month after that, we're going to roll out the hair certification classes. It's going to be so fun. I'm so excited. And as far as the giveaway, I have a new giveaway that I started a couple days ago for the Bombay hair set, the Bombay hairstyling set, the Tamana set. And we're giving this away to a lucky winner on my latest giveaway. So check out my page and find out what that is. And what's next for me is I'm about to go on tour. I'm about to have my huge makeup show tour. It's a masterclass. I go around the country. I'm going to go overseas as well this time. And this is my final tour in a long time because I really need to chill. I've been kind of going around a lot and I just need to chill. But this year is going to be crazy and I'm so ready for it. So first off is Houston. That is this Sunday. So if you guys are watching from Houston, tonight is the last night that you can purchase tickets because I have no more left. I literally opened up 10 more seats just to last to today because we're about to sell out actually overnight last night. So we have 10 more seats. I don't know now. I'm sure more of them are sold out or whatever, but We are going to sell out if we haven't already by this evening. So if you're in Houston or anywhere near Texas and you're able to come to my class in Houston, Texas on March 1st, you need to buy your tickets ASAP because those are going to be gone, and that you're going to get a certificate. You can get goodie bags from my favorite sponsors, hundreds of dollars worth of prizes. Plus, we're doing a raffle and you could win a whole lot of stuff. So all that's happening on March 1st. Go on www.dressyourfacehouston.eventbrite.com. The link is in my bio on Instagram if you want to get your tickets. It's $300 and it includes all of this, which is worth about $1,500. So you're actually saving a lot by coming to that. And I am going to be doing demonstrations live in front of you on stage, and it's always so much fun. I love touring, and I cannot wait for this tour to get started. I will see you guys soon for the big surprise class, which is coming up next in the beginning of March. So in the meantime, have an amazing rest of the month. We only have a couple days left. And until I see you again, ta-ta. Bye.